Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the studio. Today we're going to attempt to paint a body for just 49 cents. Alright guys, it's good to be back in the studio. Seems like it's been forever. Took a week off to recover from our Florida trip. And no, we're not painting this body for 49 cents. This is from DFD Power Sports. They are a dealer of the Primal RC trucks. We got to come up with our own kind of unique design on this one. This will be a future video. But for this video, for 49 cents, we're going to try to paint this B6 body. Had this laying around. I don't have a B6, so why not test paint on a actual body, not just a piece of scrap Lexan, so you can get a real world feel. And what we're going to be using is the cheapest paint I could find at Hobby Lobby. This stuff is just a generic 49-cent craft paint. It is acrylic. It's really thick. It's for brush paints. I think we're going to try to reduce it down, see if it'll spray. I have used some of this stuff in the past, not this particular brand, but I have used some craft paint before, like some sparkles and stuff I've used from even the craft section in Walmart. And I use it as a mid coat. I would put the sparkle down and then put Createx over top of it, and it worked out fine. But we're going to see if we can paint a complete body with the 49-cent paint, so stick around. Alright guys, we're not going to get real fancy with a paint scheme, but I do want to get a couple of colors on here just so we can have a kind of a real world experience to see how the paint pulls out, see how the tape pulls out. I got several colors, picked out some pastels because that seems to be the trend right now, and they do make neons with this cheap stuff. It's a little bit more. It's like $2.50 a bottle versus 50 cents a bottle. I know some of the multi-surface paints works. There's another painter, a very well-known painter. He's used some of the multi-surface stuff. This stuff says it works on multiple surfaces, so we're going to give it a shot. You don't know until you try it. And like I said, we're going to try to get it on a body so we get a real-world feel for it, not just a piece of flat Lexan. We'll go through the whole process. We'll go through reducing it and spraying it, and then we'll give it a little test at the end. We'll flex the body and beat on it a little bit and see if it's going to stay. And yeah, so basic tape job. We'll be right back when we start spraying some paint. Alright guys, we did a quick tape up job. Nothing special, nothing real straight, just trying to get an example of a multicolored paint job with this craft paint. This is Crafter's Collection. It's 49 cents at Hobby Lobby. We're going to reduce it down, so we're going over budget immediately. We're going to reduce it down with 4011 reducer. I guess a real world test, I could probably reduce it with water and see if it worked, because back in the day I would reduce fast color with water, and as long as you didn't overdo it, it would work. But either way, we're going to reduce this down, make it sprayable. It's not terribly thick. Just looking at it there. Generally with the rule on this stuff, it's about 10% on Createx paints. But we're going to have to bend the rules a little bit because we are bending the rules using this paint altogether. But you want to reduce it down to about the consistency of whole milk to make it sprayable. You don't want it too watery thin, and it's easier just to sneak up on it than it is to just dump a bunch of reducer in it and have to add paint. Hopefully we don't over reduce this and we have just enough to do what we're doing here. Do kind of a drip test, and it's not dripping, it's just staying on the stick. And my paint mixing stick is just a piece of scrap Lexan too, so whoa, we're putting more paint in it. We don't need to do that, we need to add reducer. We're getting a drip now off our stick, so that's a good sign. I'm going to add a few more drops to that, and I think we're about ready to spray. Once we finish adding our reducer, we're going to let this sit for about 10 minutes and let it do what it's going to do completely. Let it completely break down the paint so we don't have inconsistency in it. And since we've started with this black, we'll do our other colors and let them go ahead and start sitting while we're spraying this. That way we can kind of combine steps. Not have to sit around forever waiting for paint to do its thing. All right, now we're getting a pretty good kind of a stream off of it. When I first pull it out, it's streaming a little bit, so I think we're about there. Yeah, we're going to leave that alone. I don't want to get too thin. I think that's sprayable. Like I said, I'll go ahead and mix up a couple more colors. We'll do this black, teal, white, and black, teal, the body white, and we'll do the stripe in purple, since that's the colors we have. All right, guys, looks like we're dyeing eggs over here for Easter, but we got those 3 colors doing their thing. This one's ready to spray, and here we go. Live action. I did not pre-tape this. I did not pre-test it. This is real world action. If you're seeing it, then we got something here. I don't know why I'm being overly checking these seams, because it's just habit, I guess, because we're going to beat this thing into submission here in a minute. It seems to be a little transparent, but that's not a big deal. Just add more coats. Just like any water paint, I would imagine you want to put it on light, get it dry, and build your coats up. But so far, it's sprayed out pretty nice. It's not chunky. There's one little fisheye back here, but that's probably me touching it when I shouldn't have after I cleaned it. But yeah, let's get this dry. We'll throw another couple of coats on, and then the true test will be when we start untaping it and adding colors to see if it's going to peel off. So stay tuned for that. All right, we got our black on. We did it in 2 coats. It dried really flat, like really matte colored. Looks nice on the inside. I'm not sure how durable this is going to be, because it already seems like it's pretty sensitive to touch. But either way, we're going to keep going. I am going to follow the basic rules of darkest to lightest. We're going to do black. Go ahead and paint the front of the body teal, and then we'll do the stripe in purple, and then finish with white. So I was going to do a white front, but it really doesn't matter. So we don't have to do any tricks to cover the white up. We're going to go ahead and do the darkest to lightest. So here we go with the teal. Spraying good too so far. Feels good on the airbrush anyways. All right. Nothing weird happening there either. Went on really smooth. Probably 2 coats again. It's spraying really nice. You can see that's pretty smooth in there. Not covered. That's going to be a little streaky looking. But yeah, so far so good as far as sprayability. Durability, that's a whole nother question. So we're going to get that dry. We'll put another coat on. And then we're going to untape this stripe here. We'll do that in the purple. Finish off with white. And then we'll start doing the durability test on this thing. All right, guys, we did get that covered in 2 coats. I'm going to go ahead and back it with white just to make sure the purple doesn't show through. It may be just a slight bit darker, maybe. Well, just the redness of this would concern me a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and back this up with white using the same white that we were saving for the stripe. And we should be good to go with that. I'm just going to do 1 coat just to give it a little added protection. So hopefully the violet or purple or lavender doesn't show through. White seems to be spraying good. We've got some blow through on the tape. Not real concerned about it on this one, just because this is purely a test. There you go, just enough. 1 coat. All right, now everything looks all uniform and covered. So next step, we're going to pull out this masking tape. We'll leave the fine line to the final color, which will be white. I am going to clean some of this up so we can take a picture and make it look decent. Anyways, let me get that dry, pull this off, and then we'll come back and spray that lavender. All right, guys, we got this stripe pulled out. Everything pulled out really nice and clean. No surprises. We took our little cuticle stick that we use in every video, and we cleaned up some of the edges that blew through. Nothing's perfectly straight. I'm just trying to get a clean shot for a picture. And yeah, so next up is the, they call it light purple. It's more of a lavender color. It's been sitting there cooking in the reducer for a little while. And we're going to spray that, and then we'll finish up with white. Might get a little fancy and do a little outline around the windows. So we might just do a little freehand cut around the windows just to make it look good in pictures. With just this sitting for a little while, it's actually reduced itself a little bit more. Or the reducer's actually doing its job. And it's actually pouring really nice. Not too thick. All right, this violet color is going to go on kind of pinkish until we get enough of it on there. So it's probably going to take a few coats. But nothing weird's happening here either. We might have a touch too much reducer in the violet. But as long as you add light coats, I don't think you'll have a problem. I could always go back and add a couple of drops of paint in there and let it stew for a little bit. But we're going to just keep going with it. I'm just going to put several light coats. Yeah, so let me get this dry. We'll put a couple more coats on. We'll pull out our final color. We'll do an unveil and then on to the test. All right, guys, we got the violet on. We'll go ahead and pull this fine line out. There's a couple more edges I'll have to clean up before we add the white. Plus, I'm going to trim around the windows. But as you can see, it's untaping fine. Nothing's getting rough edges. Nothing's trying to pull up. There you go. Pulled right out. No major problems there. We got a couple blow-throughs on some of these tight corners, so we'll take our stick again and clean those up. But first, I'm going to go ahead and trim around the windows. No, that stripe is not straight, but again, that's not why we're here. So I'm going to trim around these windows, and we'll try to just freehand it and not get too fancy. Try to make it look decent anyways. For the photo ops, this just takes some practice. We don't have anything traced out here, just kind of going off of the shape of the glass, trying to stay consistent with from the edge. And there you go. There's your framed out windshield. We're going to do the same thing on the side glass. They're a little bit more difficult, especially on buggy bodies because they're so narrow, trying to get your hands under there. That's why I do have a cut down X-Acto. It's just chopped off on the end. I got one somewhere. I lost it. It's cut down to about right here. So basically the only thing you have is the handle, so you can get in some of these tight spots. But anyways, let me go ahead and trim that out. We'll clean a couple edges up. Spray the white, do an unveil, and then test. All right, we got all the windows trimmed up. We got the stripes cleaned up a little bit. Not going for perfection. We're just doing this as a test mule. Final color, we'll do our unveil, and then we'll commence to the durability test. And that ought to be interesting to try a couple things. We're going to try cutting the body out. Then we're going to try to fold it up, hit it a few times. Typical stuff that may happen in a race if you get pushed into the wall and your bumper or something goes through the body. So stay tuned for the test. But first, we have to finish. All right, we're going to put 2 coats on just to get full coverage. Not trying to get a lot of buildup, trying to give this thing a fair test. But so far, it sprays really nice, and it covers fine. But time will tell if it can withstand actually being ran. So let me wrap this up. We'll do an unveil, and then on to the next phase. All right, guys, here's our finished product. Not too shabby. We could have spent a little bit more time on it and straightened some lines up, but that's not why we're here. We are here to test some paint on this one. But, as always, the most satisfying part of painting your RC body is peeling this film off and revealing all of your hard work. This one wasn't too hard, but either way, still satisfying. Pretty clean paint scheme. I had some ideas with these colors, and this is also a good test to see how they work together. But there you go, and kapowie. There's your 49-cent paint job. We went a little bit over budget, obviously, with the reducer and using multiple colors, but it looks really good. But stay tuned for the test. We're going to give this thing a fair shake. I'm not going to do it tonight, even though you're going to see it right now. We're going to give this thing a fair chance, and we're going to let it dry overnight, give it 24 hours to cure out. I did not spray my gray underneath. This is 100% the cheap paint. There's nothing added other than the Createx reducer. Water may have worked just as well on this stuff. I don't know, but I like that reducer, so we use reducer. But either way, stay tuned for the test. That'll be right up right now. All right, guys, through the magic of editing, we're back. It's the next day. We're going to do a little bit of testing on this body and see if it's going to withstand being used. We're not going to put it on a car because I don't have a B6. But we'll do a basic trim out, see if the paint's going to scratch off easy. I got a bad feeling it is, but we'll have to wait and see here. I didn't go over the prep of the body. I did what I always do, warm water, about a tablespoon or teaspoon of Dawn dishwashing liquid, and a good scrubbing until you get that squeaky clean. When you rub your fingers across it as you're rinsing it out. I did not scuff it. Some bodies, sometimes I will scuff them. But this one we ran it as a pretty blind test. Kept it as generic as possible, as any average Joe would do. Not go through all the steps to ensure adhesion. We just did a basic cleaning, rinse dry, and paint. All right, there's the cut test. It cut out fine. Nothing got really ragged around the edges. It cut fine. Generally, I do cut my bodies out. At least on my off-road stuff, I'll cut it out first because you got to do so much trimming to make things fit around shock towers and such. And now we're going to do the old test here and try to fold it up some. If you're sensitive to destroying a new body, don't watch this. It's not flexing, or it's not flaking at all. That is about as bad as you're going to get when you run a car. Sorry for the noise, but we're doing a real world test. Guys, I don't know how much more flexible this paint needs to be. We just turned the body inside out. See if we can make it back into a body. Guys, I believe this stuff's going to work. I have my doubts. But look at there. We wrinkled that body up good. The only place we got a scratch is right here where it overlapped itself. And it didn't flake off. It's just scratched it where it actually folded into itself. Yeah, it's not crunchy. It's not doing anything weird. We can give it a little pokey test. No scratches, no flakes. Now, as far as the inside goes, it is pretty sensitive to scratches. You can scratch it off with your nail. I don't know if coating it with something might make it more durable. Or if you do decide to try this paint, I would probably suggest putting some tape on the inside. Anywhere it's going to make contact with anything. It's very flexible. It's staying on there. It's not flaking at all, but it does scratch off pretty easy. That's not a whole lot of effort right there, and it's coming off. We'll give it another test. We'll actually put some tape on it and pull the tape off. And this is brand new tape. It's not a real high-tack tape, but this is masking tape that you would normally use to paint a body. I don't normally put tape over my painted surfaces after they're already painted. As far as masking and remasking, try to do it all in one shot. We didn't pull off anything hardly, a couple little flakes, but that's probably where I've been folding it up. Actually, it is. It's a flake right there in the fold where we folded the nose in half. It's not coming off in sheets. I've got some stronger tape here. We'll do the good old duct tape test. If duct tape don't take it off, I think we're going to be okay. This is an associated body. It's a factory body. It's not a Pro Line. I know some of the Pro Line bodies had a lot of oils and stuff on them that you had to really clean them good. You got to clean them all good, but the Pro Line seemed like they had more than the usual mold release in them. Now, if I was going to run this body, I probably would take some of that thin aluminum tape or something to cover up my areas where the chassis might contact the body. But in order to keep it lightweight, you really wouldn't want to line the whole body with tape. I'm going to rub it in, get some heat in it. And we pulled off one little flake. Tiny one right there. You see the daylight coming through it. Alright guys, that's our test complete there. Looks like it held up pretty good. Again, not super abrasive proof, but most paints will scratch off. So I would definitely prefer some kind of seal or nylon tape or even aluminum tape to protect anywhere that may make contact with chassis parts. But all in all, it's super flexible. It's sprayed good. The reduction is just kind of mix it till you like it. I didn't really have a scientific figure. I'm sure all the colors have different consistencies. So we reduced it till we got it down to a little bit thicker than whole milk. And if it's not sprayable at that point, you can add a little reducer. If it's too thin, it's going to get weird and kind of separate on the body. And as soon as you see that, you can stop. You can add more color to it and mix it up and thicken it up a little bit. It's just a trial and error. That's the fun part of using an airbrush. You got that option. This opens up the doors to a lot of different colors. They make a lot of sparkle colors and flip-flop colors and stuff like that for art stuff. So, yeah, if you're in a pinch and you're running out of paint, I would not be scared to use this. I still prefer my Createx and Parma Fast Color, but I am not sponsored by any paint company, and I will use whatever works. And I think we shown this stuff right here works pretty good. All right, if you enjoyed this video, stick around. We got plenty coming this month. The December is full of bodies. Got a couple of marketplace finds back here. We'll have a video of that soon. And anyways, hit that like, subscribe, comment, tell me what you think, and we'll see you next time.